Okay, what do liberals, libertarians, Tea Partiers, and environmentalists have in common with the Navy Yard shooter? Ideas. Ideas. Pictures of the invisible world. The Navy Yard shooter was convinced that people were controlling him using ultra low frequency waves, the extremely low frequency waves the Navy uses to communicate with submarines. And in order to get rid of this mind and body control, he simply needed to get rid of a bunch of people. But what does that have to do with the people in the Tea Party, environmentalists, liberals, Marxists, and a whole bunch of others who are serious about political ideas? It's simple. Ideas. And the idea that by getting rid of something, by sacrificing something, you can bring in a paradise. Well, what do the Tea Party people believe will bring a paradise? Getting rid of the budget, getting rid of high spending in the government, and maybe getting rid of the government itself. Paradise. Paradise. What do libertarians believe? Well, getting rid of government restrictions will bring in paradise. What do environmentalists believe? Getting rid of anthropogenic climate warming, simply getting rid of smokestacks and tailpipes, getting rid of greenhouse gases will bring paradise. What did the Marxists believe? Getting rid of capitalists will bring in paradise. It's the old idea of sacrifice. In the Inca and Aztec religion, the Aztecs in particular, if you were an Aztec king, how could you bring incredible wealth to the kingdom? You could go up on the top of a pyramid and you could take some very bony, barbed bones from a shark. You could run it up your prick until your prick bled like crazy. Sacrifice. Hey, give something up. What do you get? Paradise. It's a ridiculous idea. Now let's see if we can draw the connection between that and a little something else. Once upon a time, Pythagoras came up with the answer to the universe. Pythagoras. It was about 500 to 600 BC, closer to 500 BC. Pythagoras was a Greek. Pythagoras had gone off and visited the Egyptians and visited the Babylonians, the two places where this new stuff, math, had been under development for a couple of thousands of years. And he came back with math to the Greeks, and he came up with this idea. The entire universe is math. Hey, an idea. He also came up with the idea that you could understand the universe by understanding ratios. 1 to 2, 1/2, we call it. 1 to 3, 3 to 4, 3/4, we call it. The whole universe could be understood by ratios. Putting one number next to another, dividing one number by another, and seeing what happened. And it worked for lots of things. Then one day, one of his followers came up with something a little strange. His name was, let's see if we can remember it, Hippasus. And Hippasus tried to get the square root of 2. Why am I putting my hands like this? Because, I don't know, it had something to do with taking a cube and drawing a hypotenuse across it, a line across it. Don't worry about it. It was the square root of 2. And there's a small problem. You can get a number for the square root of 2, but not the kind of number that existed in the days of the Greeks. You could not get a number that could be expressed in a ratio. Hey, wait a minute. Pythagoras had built an entire cult. Pythagoras was now ruling an entire town, Croton, in Italy. Pythagoras' rule was spreading to other towns, all based on an idea. The idea that you could express the entire universe in terms of ratios. And this guy had the audacity to claim that there was a number that couldn't be expressed in a ratio. If that was true, Pythagoras' hold and the hold of his followers on political power was gone. Out the window. What did Pythagoras and his group do with, let's get his name right, Hippasus, the guy who came up with the idea, and it's true, that you can't express the square number of 2 in a ratio. They killed him. This is a truth they didn't want anybody to know. What happens among Tea Partiers if you say that simply getting rid of the debt and getting rid of government spending is not going to bring in a paradise? What happens with environmentalists if you tell them that getting rid of anthropogenic climate warming, getting rid of greenhouse gases will not bring us a paradise? What happened if you were a Marxist and you told your fellow Marxists that simply getting rid of the capitalists would not bring in a paradise? Did they treat you any better than the Pythagoreans treated Hippasus? Do ideas have anything to do with the crazy concepts driving the Navy Yard shooter when he was popping one person after another in the Navy Yard in Washington? Are any of the rest of us any saner than he was? Well, yes, some ideas work, but no ideas work all the time. And the idea that you can bring about paradise through a simple sacrifice of something we've already got is, are you ready for this word? Insane! This is Howard the Among Us, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make